Yep.
So I'm guessing Bob won't make it tonight either, huh?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You have a does he have a commitment or a situation?
Situation. He and Lisa both.
Oh, Lisa too.
Hmm.
Well,
Yep.
I'm gonna have, is she available like if she to do the prizes?
No, I'm gonna do
No,
that.
no, for to do the credit card part of it.
Guessing Bob won't make it. I'm not sure. I think she can handle that. I'm
Okay,
gonna
good.
see her tomorrow
So
for.
I'll have you email it to her because I supposedly got a new car, a renewal on the card, and I can't find it. It came while I was on my trip. So
Uh-oh.
anyway, that's no problem. So
Well, she said the bank stuff finally got straightened out.
yeah,
So,
but this was separate from that.
oh, okay.
All right, so we are recording. Welcome everybody, because the blast didn't go out, but that's we have a few people here. So before we get started, are there any questions about anything? We're going to be going over the iCloud. Al will have his Link Master Supreme, and he'll have information on a lot of the happenings with Apple and WWDC and stuff. So if anybody has any questions, you can physically raise your hand or raise your hand digitally if you want.
Of course, I have something.
Go ahead,
Good,
Mary. You always
good.
have good questions.
Well, this isn't a question. I just had told you guys I was having trouble with my Apple TV, and I finally
Yeah.
went and got a. It seems to happen when I haven't updated it to the latest version. And I'm just sharing this because if anybody else is having trouble with their Apple TV, and then I got a new HDMI cord, which turned out fine because was able to get a short one instead of one that was, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's an
but
important deal because not all HDMI cords are the same. They have
that's
different standards and
yeah,
Steve
that's
Jobs
what I
once,
learned is that you want the one that
because,
premium and hot for
well, yes,
buy.
but there's also all this weird handshaking that goes on. And Steve Jobs was quoted one time as HDMI is a bag of hurt, and it's appropriate. So,
Well, if
but
any of
yeah,
you were
there's
having
a lot of
trouble
stuff going on.
but if you're having trouble with your Apple TV, and I found that I could reset it under and it would come back was the easiest way as opposed to uninstalling and reinstalling, which
Yeah,
I've been
there's
doing.
a physical way to reset it, and then there's a software way to reset it. So let's look at our names here.
Oh, Mr.
Oh,
White is
Bob's
here.
here. Welcome, Bob.
hmm.
Glad you're here. And everybody has names so far. So everyone it's on there that's a member is eligible. All righty. Bob's in his temporary house.
Yep, nice to see you. Well, yes, nice to see you, Bob.
You're muted, but that's okay. All right. Any other questions? Can raise your hand or unmute yourself if you want. Otherwise, I will go to, oh, Charles Murphy's logging in. Good. I'm going to share my screen with our little agenda keynote. All right. So thanks to Al for putting together this multi um, touch screen or title screen here. And actually, Al, I changed the time to 8 o'clock from 7:30,
Okay.
just so you know.
Yeah, so good.
All right. Tonight, I'm going to discuss iCloud, but the big highlights will be a lot of what Al has in news and rumors. And the other thing is, I'm just curious. Oh, he's got some fancy things going there. What were you doing 50 years ago? What was happening? Let's think about this a second. Jimmy Carter was president, so interest rates were probably almost 20%. The iconic shows like Yes, Charlie's Angels. I loved Farrah Fawcett. What's Happening in Family Feud, but Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and actually the recent movie on that was pretty good. Rocky, Taxi Driver Network, and my favorite fiction of all time was All the President's Men. That was a great movie. Uh, First commercial Concorde flight, and this one got me. Debut of VHS home video. And then, of course, the VHS beta wars happened after that. And in 50 years ago, on April 1st, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs founded Apple Computer. And this is what their first logo was. It was Newton sitting under an apple tree. And ironically, later on, there was a device called the Newton, and it was the Apple. And history is that that area around Cupertino was all apple orchards. So that's where that all came from. And these are the logos through the years. The last one has morphed a little bit at times to be you know a little bit translucent, a little 3D looking, but those are really the three logos. This is coming up April 1st. There are rumors of some stuff. Al will go through that. But what I wanted to point out is, oh, this was and it was hard to find this because I love the saying of all this to the crazy ones, the whole Think Different campaign. And, I've read some stories about how it was to get the rights to these different people that never did commercial stuff and everything else. It was really what an incredible campaign. So. But that being said, if in Mountain View, there's a very, very special place. I've been lucky enough to go there twice. I'm going again because from now until September 7th, there are a lot of different Apple prototypes and everything else there. Now, there's a lot of the original people from Apple have donated their stuff to the museum, but also it's just on loan sometimes for this exhibit. So it's 50 years of Apple. And even if you've never been to the Computer History Museum, it in itself is wonderful. As you walk in the door, you're faced with the first two computers ever. One is a slide rule and one is an abacus. And then everything goes from there. I was lucky enough the second time I went there was with a gentleman that is 85. I know he's probably 86 years old. And I used to ski with him. He lives in Carolina now, but he went back to the old Fairchild Semiconductor days. And walking through there was like a history for him of everything he's worked on. And he was a sales rep for software, but he was there when the memory was wire and not on chips and everything else. So there's the link. Al has it. It's in the chat window. Computer History Museum. There are linked there, and in fact, I'll go to the website in a second. But the other one is, and I've put this link in here. This is a fantastic little bit over hour video. You can play it at 1.5 or double speed. And it is for people very, very critical to Apple back in the day and other people in the audience. And it's hosted by David Pogue. And Al will bring up about David Pogue, who's wonderful. He's presented to MacNexus before. We are trying to make arrangements to get him to present again. If we get 10 people to buy his new book, he'll come. I'm going to be in contact with him because we have a big group here. So I'm going to try to get him to do both. He won't come in person, obviously, but he will do a Zoom because he's really trying to hawk his book. But this video is so much of Inside Apple back in the day. So again, it's a fantastic video and it's free. And now, any before we go over to Al, are there any volunteer or member announcements?
Yes, Iceman, if you want to be included in the raffle at the door prize at the end, you need to change it to your real name.
And if you're a member, because you
If
can
you're a member,
participate in
right.
the raffle. And if you just want to unmute yourself, we can change it for you if you want to tell us who you are. So that's good. Good catch, Mary.
Well, that's what I'm
Okay.
doing. Okay.
And it looks like it got changed.
Because you're welcome to come. We love having you.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I hope they changed, so that's good. Iceman's from Maverick. Maybe it's the guy
Yeah,
from the,
could be.
That was just
Was that
me.
you, Thomas?
Yes, being silly.
Okay.
oh,
I love it. I love it.
and now you're Thomas, but we know your last name, so that's okay.
And
All
we are
righty.
here to find you.
That being said, Al has a lot of links, lots of information, and of course, all the links that are done today from the chat and everything else will come out in a PDF in the next blast that we put out, and that'll be fantastic. Al, take it away.
Let's see here. Share. All righty. Can everybody see the screen?
Yeah,
good?
you got it. Perfect.
All right, great. Welcome to the Apple Tech News and Rumors segment of our general meeting for the month of March 2026. The big story over the last 4 weeks was Apple's compressed March 2nd through the 4th hardware rollout, followed by AirPods Max 2 surprise on March 16th. I'll go into that a little bit later. Across the Apple Press release cycle and the major Apple sites, the pattern was clear. Apple is widening the bottom of the lineup with cheaper entry products while boosting Pro capability upward with faster silicon, better displays, and more AI-centric positioning. On March 2nd, Apple released the iPhone 17e. The 17e is positioned as an affordable entry to the iPhone 17 family. It gets the A19 chip. It also comes with Apple's C1X modem, their in-house modem, as well as a 48 megapixel Fusion camera, 256 gigabytes of base storage. It'll also come with MagSafe and Q2 charging support, while keeping the $599 starting price. This is the iPhone for most normal people. It's geared towards buyers who want modern performance, Apple Intelligence support, and a decent longevity without paying Pro money. It's a strong fit for cost-conscious upgraders, parents buying for family phones, and users coming from older SE, 12, and 13 class iPhones. The catch, it's obvious, it's a value-driven proposition. It's not aspirational. On March 2nd, Apple released a new iPad Air. It's available in 11-inch and 13-inch sizes, no change in form factor. Upgraded to the M4 chip with more memory. It includes Apple's N1 wireless chip. Also supports Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and Thread. Cellular models also include the C1X modem. As far as performance, it's 30% faster multi-core CPU versus the M3 iPad Air, and it's positioned as a sweet spot in the iPad Apple's lineup. It's a strong performance and future-proofing without Pro pricing. It's also built to support Apple Intelligence features. It's suited for students, note takers, light content creators, business users, and anyone wanting a laptop-like tablet experience without going pro. Bottom line, it's a practical incremental upgrade, not flashy, but a solid value for most users. On March 3rd of the event, Apple announced the new MacBook Air. It's updated with the M5 chip. Base storage doubled to 12 gigabytes. Also adds Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6 like the others. Starting prices are $10.99 for the 13-inch and $12.99 for the 15-inch. It's better equipped out of the box, but less of a bargain than previous versions. It's a position like still the default Mac for most people. It's suited for retirees, students with budget flexibility, writers, photographers doing moderate edits, office workers, and general home users. The challenge is now it sits directly above the MacBook Neo, which I'll talk about later, and justify has to justify that larger price gap. Bottom line, it's still a go-to Mac, but the value equation isn't as obvious as it used to be. Also on March 3rd, Apple announced a new MacBook Pro. No redesign. This is just a serious spec upgrade. The new chips are the M5 Pro and the M5 Max can be configured. Adds, like the others, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6. It has a faster SSD performance. As far as the storage, it's a 1 terabyte for the M5 Pro models and 2 terabytes for the M5 Max models. Target users would be video professionals, developers, 3D artists, audio production users, machine learning and AI workflows, anyone pushing their laptop hard for paid work. Kind of reality check, it's overkill for regular consumers. Bottom line, it's a power-focused upgrade. It's not a flashy one. Built for people who make money with their machine, not casual users.
And the M5 Max is an incredibly powerful chip, but this is the exact same form factor they've had. All the rumors are pointing to the fall with an M6 chip and a complete redesign of the MacBook Pro. So if you're looking at MacBook Pros, just keep that in the back of your mind. If you need it, get it now. If you don't need it yet, like my M1 MacBook Pro still does really well for me.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I want to wait and see because it may be something unique.
Yeah, it's a M5 is a serious chip.
Oh man, M5.
Yeah, yeah.
It's these chips just through happenstance are designed very, very well to help with AI as AI rolls out in the Apple system. But what it does is it takes off some of the load from the AI computers and can process a lot of that internally and can really be amazing. And we'll find out more in WWDC, which is the second week of June.
June 8th. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I'll mute myself.
Are we good?
I got to mute. Oh, yeah, he's muted.
Okay. Apple also announced a new Studio Display XDR. It's a higher end external display positioned between the standard Studio Display and the older Pro Display XDR. The display focuses on higher brightness, better contrast, and smoother motion for professional creative work. So the key points, it comes with a 27-inch Retina XDR panel, 5K resolution. It has mini LED backlighting with thousands of local dimming zones. Delivers dramatic improved contrast and HDR performance compared with the standard Studio Display. Has a higher refresh rate, has a 120 hertz ProMotion refresh. It'll do as far as brightness and contrast, up to 1,000 nits of sustained brightness. As far as connectivity, features a Thunderbolt 5 connection to the Mac. It has multiple USB-C ports for peripherals. It's designed primarily for Mac Studio, MacBook Pro, and MacBook Mini users. It has a built-in camera that a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with a center stage, a 6-speaker spatial audio system, and studio quality microphone array. The design is a similar design to the current studio display. Aluminum closure with optional tilt lift stand and optional height adjustment stand and a VESA mount. Expensive ass stands. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Huh. It's best suited for professional photographers, video editors, motion graphics artists, and developers needing large, high resolution displays. Expected starting price is $24.99. That places it above the studio display, but below the Pro Display XDR, which I believe now has been discontinued. The main takeaway is display fills a long-standing gap in Apple's monitor lineup and delivers XDR level HDR performance and 120 hertz refresh in a smaller, more affordable format. But it's spec wise, if you look around, you can find something at a fraction of this of the studio. They've also replaced the studio display. They've upgraded that, but it's pricey. And if you look around, you can find spec comparable monitors out there. Here's also a rumor article about the 2026 Studio Display refresh. The displays require a Mac with a Silicon M series chip to function. They're compatible only with Macs using the M1 through the M5 processors. The bottom line, Intel Mac users are increasingly encountering compatibility limits as Apple continues to move forward. This is another step in Apple's final phase of the Intel transition. This was the real strategic surprise of the March event. Apple introduced a MacBook Neo. It's a new low-cost Mac laptop starting at $599. It's designed as an entry-level Mac, expanding Apple's reach into the budget laptop market. The key points, processor-wise, it's powered by an A18 Pro chip. It's the same architecture used in recent iPhones. It delivers strong performance for everyday tasks while maintaining excellent battery efficiency. As far as display, it's a 13-inch liquid retina display, up to 500 nits of brightness. Memory and storage, it comes with 8 gigabyte of unified memory. For storage options, it can come with a 256 gigabyte or a 512. The battery life, Apple claims, is up to 18 hours.
The battery life is so long because that's the chip and the phone, and so it's super efficient. And it also doesn't need a fan because it doesn't warm up enough. So that's amazing. And actually, you can get it if you're qualified for the education store. It's $499 in the education store.
Wow, that's cheap. Design-wise, it's thin and lightweight, a MacBook-style design. It'll be available in several color options. Simplified port configuration also reduces cost. As far as connectivity, it comes with 2 USB-C ports, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capable connectivity. The target market is students, education market, obviously, first-time Mac buyers, and also users considering Chromebooks or low-cost Windows laptops. This is a playground that Apple has traditionally not played in. It positions Apple's lineup. It sits below the MacBook Air in price and performance. It's designed as the most affordable Mac laptop available. It has a strategic importance because it expands Apple's presence in the lower price computing markets. And like I was mentioning before, can help Apple compete in education and entry-level consumer segments. Bottom line, the MacBook Neo is intended to bring Mac Mac computing to a much broader audience. It prioritizes affordability and battery life over the high-end performance.
I got to say, as you guys look at these slides, I'm just marveled all the time at all the work Al has put into this.
Yes.
And I mean, I build a lot of slide decks, and this is a lot of work, and it's fantastic. And thank you, Al, as always.
Appreciate it. Every day's a learning day when you're doing this stuff.
And it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And a lot of this, these skill sets are a culmination of years of coming to MacNexus and listening to Pete Losey's
Listen to
Keynote
me.
classes and, learning from others every day and asking questions. So, anyone who's interested, you can acquire these skill sets. It's good. It's a great way to spend my retirement. And I've been a MacNexus member since 1985. So I'm the old guard. Anyway, getting as far as the Apple's new MacBook Neo, it's proving to be a critical and sales success, according to Tim Cook. The Neo is setting record-breaking release among first-time Mac buyers. As of Friday, March 20th, all 8 MacBook Neo models are sold out online until next month. Several configurations are sold out at the Mac store locations until the middle of April as well. Every model shows delivery time between April 6th and April 13th when ordering from Apple's website. This is something that's more typical for iPhone launches than Mac launches. It's a pretty important product introduction for Apple, I think. To recap,
The sales will go crazy when back to school.
Oh yeah. To recap, here's a slide of the Apple product lineup and pricing ladder from the March event. This helps me assess the value proposition for my needs. So you can see the Neo and the iPhone 17 at the bottom there, and up to the iPad Air somewhere in the middle, and MacBook Air, and then at the high end, the Studio Display XDR and the Studio Display as well. At the very top up there, the MacBook Pro, the 5 Pro, and the the M5 Pro and M5 Max. $2,000 starts out. On March 23rd, Apple announced it will host its annual Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC, online from June 8th through the 12th. This will bring developers together from around the world for a week of connection, exploration, and innovation. They have a whole bunch of classes that developers attend, and some of these, if you have a developer's account, you can see online, but they really get into the minutia. It's incredible. In addition to the online experience, developers and students will also have the opportunity to celebrate in person during a special event at Apple Park on June 8th. Some of the key expectations for WWDC 2026 include the iOS 27 will be the headline update. It'll continue to push into Apple Intelligence. We can expect more AI woven into everyday apps and workflows. Siri will be becoming more a chatbot. There'll be a shift from command-based assistant to a conversational AI. Better at handling multi-step and natural language requests. And it competes more directly with ChatGPT and Gemini-style assistants. We can expect deeper Apple Intelligence integration across assortment of apps, messages, mail, Safari, and notes, more context-aware awareness and personalization. The big themes, Apple will be doubling down on AI as the core platform shift. Siri evolving into something finally competitive. And there'll be a focus on useful, integrated AI rather than flashy features. Bottom line, WWDC 2026 is about Apple Intelligence, making it real and usable. The success of the event hinges on whether Siri actually improves in meaningful ways. We'll see. they promised us 2 years ago, uh, and they had a whole bunch of egg on their face for a while, but hopefully they've
Well, and it's interesting because the pundits now are coming around and saying that, not that Apple planned to wait to come out with it because they really tried, but by doing it the way they're doing it, they actually think they might be kind of in the catbird seat because of the internal processing ability of the M series chips, coupled with the fact that they're not having to invent their own AI. They're using a known good AI and let everybody race to be the biggest and the best, and only a few will survive. And there's a lot of money being spent on compute that will. I look at it like the old when you went from the dot-com boom to the dot-com bust, and I really I think it they didn't do this by choice. They just couldn't get enough good engineers because everybody was grabbing good engineers.
yeah,
I mean, people like NVIDIA are giving engineers, they're giving $1 million signing bonuses and getting them for half a
yeah,
million dollars a year and things like that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's just
Facebook,
not enough good engineers to go around. And I really, I mean, I was Al and Pete and I and Bob, we were all saying how Apple was, kind of losing in this battle. Well, I think they ended up they look like they're in the catbird seat now, and it's looking pretty strong. And it's like other things. Apple wasn't the first MP3 player, but they made the best one when they made the iPod.
yeah,
They weren't the first one with a phone, but they made the best one when they did it. And I don't think this is as revolutionary as either of those, but I think it really is. I think it's going to work out, and thank goodness we're living long enough to see it.
yeah. I think Apple has a little bit longer runway than other companies because their revenue streams are hardware based. And so, they probably have more time, and they certainly have deep enough pockets to see how the market unfolds. And I think because as as the hardware becomes more capable and these M chips evolve, uh, uh, we could get to a situation since Apple's privacy focused anyway, where a lot of this AI is on board your device instead of having to the simpler aspects of it. You'll be able to carry around on your device, or instead of relying on massive server farms in the cloud. Just a
I
different
think that's
approach.
a great point. And you're talking about the ramp. Well, it's interesting because Apple, of course, is expanding services now. But long ago, Steve Jobs was quoted and said, and if you think about it, it's so true. If you make compelling software, people will buy your hardware. And that's still Apple's mantra to the day.
Yeah,
And I think this will really do it. And and what you need to realize is rather than just AI being Google search on steroids to find information, when AI has matured, you'll be able to, first of all, you won't need much of these classes anymore because you'll just say to the device, oh, please take this photo and darken that sky there. Or how do I or please set my clock for the time zone I'm in now, or just different things like that, where it will become interactive into our device and you'll just speak to it to what you want, or even better, it will get to know you and know what you want or need and
yeah.
suggest things in those situations.
It'll become agentic, is the term everyone's using.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or sentient, either one.
That'd be good too. Let's see. iOS 26.4 was released yesterday. As far as what's new, they have 8 new emojis added. There's some Apple Intelligence tweaks, some Control Center updates, Photos app changes, some Safari updates.
And
Message,
please do this update because there's some security reasons
yeah,
too.
yeah. There's some messages enhancements, accessibility improvements, some battery and performance, some general optimizations. This is typically like a mid-cycle update. Security fixes, really important ones behind the scenes, behind the scene patches. Overall take, it's not a major feature release. It's focused on polishing existing features, stability and performance, and small usability improvements. And bottom line, it's a refinement update, not a game changer. It's worth installing for security and smoother day-to-day use. Also yesterday, Apple introduced a macOS 26.4. Big picture, 26.4 is a refinement update. Again, not a headline grabber. Focuses again on bug fixes, polish, and incremental Apple Intelligence expansion. Bottom line, this is a get your system stable and secure type update. Worth installing for the security alone, and a little bit smoother iPhone integration, but don't expect anything flashy. It's just maintenance and not really a big innovation. On March 16th, Apple also announced AirPods Max 2. Some of the features include a slightly updated design, minor tweaks, similar overall look. It'll come with a new H series chip, the H2, that helps improve performance and efficiency, enables better audio processing. It'll come with a better active noise cancellation. Use that for a more effective blocking of ambient noise, airplanes, airplane noise. Improved transparency mode. This is a more natural and clear external sound. It'll come with USB, replaces the original Lightning. It aligns with newer Apple products in that regard. The battery life improvements, it's longer listening time versus the original. New colors are expected. It's positioned as Apple's premium over-the-ear headphones. It competes with the high-end models like Sony and Bose. Overall, my take it's evolution, not revolution. Focus on better sound, improved noise control, modernized connectivity. It's a refined upgrade for Apple top-tier headphones, better suited for users who want a premium audio and a tight Apple ecosystem integration. It's pricey, but I've got the predecessor. It works great. I use it on airplanes a lot, and it does a great job taking out ambient airplane noise, and I use it every day when I'm on my stationary bike watching my Apple TV in the patio, and I don't have to wake up anybody at 11 o'clock at night. I can play it as loud as I want. I love it.
And where your AirPods last, your regular in-ear AirPods last about 5 hours of continuous. These are good for about 14 or so. So on long flights, they work really well.
They work great.
Al and I have the same generation of them, and there's nothing compelling for me to upgrade on mine because I only use them for flights.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same situation. This came out from Apple Insider, and this is what I consider this month's PSA. All iPhone users running iOS 13 or iOS 14 need to update now. Apple has confirmed routine browsing can trigger attacks on outdated iOS versions. Apple revealed on March 19th that malicious web content can exploit older iOS versions and expose personal data through compromised sites or unsafe links. Apple released security updates on March 11th for both newer and older devices, including iOS 15.8.7 and iOS 16.7.15.
Look, if you have any old iPads around, check them out too.
Yeah. Users on iOS 13 or iOS 14 should upgrade to iOS 15 to receive these protections. Updating iOS closes those gaps and protects against these web-based attacks. The attacks rely on a malicious web content instead of rogue apps or unusual behavior. Setting visiting a compromised website or clicking a crafted link could trigger a WebKit vulnerabilities in a Safari. Very important. And along those same lines, these are the older iPhone models that technically can run iOS 15, but have some limitations that may not make them worthy of keeping. Here's a breakdown of some of the limitations in the next few slides. You can tell up there. Uh, I'll leave that up momentarily if anyone needs to look at this. I got a couple of other slides of interest.
Boy, that goes way back.
Yeah.
iPhone
These
6.
these lineups here, these are still safe and worth using in 2026, of course. The current lineup of best choices, anything of iPhone 15 or 14. These get the latest security updates, and they have full Apple Intelligence support. That's the iPhone 15 Pro and newer, and they have the best performance and longevity. Going backwards, oops. Okay, there we go. These models, still good, but aging. The iPhone 13, 13 mini, Pro and 13 Pro, 13 Pro Max, and the 12 series. They're secure for now, fully usable for daily tasks, but they're missing newer AI features, closer to the end of the support window, especially the 12 series.
And if you don't get long battery life, most of those can still have the
Yeah.
batteries replaced.
Yeah.
And you only have it done at Apple or an Apple authorized provider.
Yeah. And these models here are borderline, used with caution. The iPhone 11 lineup, the iPhone XS and 10R, the iPhone SE, the second generation. Reality check, they may still receive limited security updates. Performance is still okay, but aging fast, increasing risk over time. It's fine for a backup phone and light use. Not ideal for banking, sensitive data, or long-term use. And these, if you still have these around, really not safe anymore. You should consider retiring these. That would be the 10X, the 8, 7, 6S, and the SE first generation. These are no longer properly supported. They're vulnerable to known exploits, and they've been dropped by many apps, no longer support them. Bottom line, the best safe baseline for today would be iPhone 13 or newer. The best long-term buy it would be an iPhone 14 or 15. Avoid anything older than the iPhone 11 for daily use. Remember that just because an iPhone can run iOS 15 doesn't mean it's safe or practical in 2026.
Just of note on this, if you have an older phone, it's not safe for internet and email and that stuff. But any old phone, as long as it's charged, even if there's no service on it, will always call 911 for you. So in that case, if you have an old phone, what I recommend is, and I did this for my mom when she was alive, in both of her bathrooms, I had an old cell phone hooked to a charger and had the cord hanging over the toilet paper dispenser. And there was always a phone just in case. You know, we pretty much have our phones everywhere, but not a lot of people do. But any cell phone can call 911 unless it's a super old Verizon. But you know, it's good to have, and making phone calls is not where you're vulnerable, and it wouldn't create a problem. So
Also, a lot of these old phones can also be repurposed just to be music players, iPods and stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
And
and
the other thing is old phones, if you want to dispose of them, I think that the women escaping a violent thing, they take old phones in for women that need them. So, you know, look around for something like that.
yeah. A final consideration going forward, The entry point for Apple Intelligence is the iPhone 15 Pro, not the regular iPhone 15, but the Pro model or later. Anything older will be locked out of Apple's next major platform shift. So that may be a consideration, especially when, once Apple gets their intelligence fully baked and integrated into systems next generation Siri. That may be a consideration going forward if you're in the purchasing window.
Apple Intelligence needs a little bit more robust, powerful processor. And so that's where it's really come to play. The 15 Pros so far and newer, all 16s and all 17s will be AI compatible. And then as far as iPads go, anything with the M series chip.
Yeah. And finally tonight, as Ken was saying earlier, I want to remind everyone, 1 week from today, on April 1st, Apple turns 50 years old. And for those of us who were there at the beginning, it's been a hell of a ride. Apple's been celebrating its upcoming 50th anniversary by hosting events around the world, and a grand finale will likely take place here in California. Apple kicked off its 50th anniversary celebrations with a surprise Alicia Keys performance at its Grand Central store in New York earlier this month. It has since hosted similar events in China, South Korea, and Thailand. Apple's planning to host additional celebrations in Australia, Canada, France, and the UK over the coming days. All the links generated today will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I will post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple tech news and support. We encourage everyone to come take a look at it, give us a visit.
Al, Mary has her hand up.
Okay.
Just because I am looking at the chat and I don't know if anybody else is saying this, but it won't show. Never mind. It was a different issue.
Oh, okay.
So it went away.
I'm glad we
Thank
could
you.
fix that for you, Mary.
Yeah, it was actually somebody isn't getting the chat because they haven't updated. And
Oh, the refresh. Yeah, new messages on there.
yeah. So
I
sorry
like
about that,
Al.
guys.
It was hard for me to find a clean one of those, all the old logos like that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay, I take it away, Mr. Spencer.
Well, Al, thank you. Big hand. I
Always
mean,
good.
that was fantastic, and I always learn stuff too. So, you're my go-to. I don't have to read all these websites anymore.
Yeah.
I look
AI
at
helps, buddy.
the Facebook does it great, and I'll tell you, it is wonderful, and I do appreciate it, as I'm sure
You're
everyone
welcome.
else.
You're welcome. Glad to do it.
Cool.
Glad to be of service.
All right, so let's. Okie dokie. Behind me, you have the map for the great race coming up.
Woohoo!
I depart. It starts June 19th, but we leave on the 12th, and it's as you see here, it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66. Route 66 went from Chicago to Santa Monica, so the race is actually going from Springfield, Illinois, to Pasadena. And just a little side story that I think is so cool. And I should have brought up a picture of the car we have. My best friend, Brent, who's 72 years old, his parents bought this car when he was 4 years old. It's a 1953 MG. His he had his first date and he took his driver's license test in this car. And his mom is one of my favorite people on earth. She's 95 years old. She grew up in Pasadena. Well, 3 years ago, she met us at the end of the race in Colorado Springs, and she was the honorary navigator to go through the ceremonial finish line. She will be in attendance and actually get in the car to go across the finish line. This lady took Brent out when he was young to teach him how to drive the car. And Brent, of course, since then we met ski racing, but he in fact races cars and all kinds of stuff. And he his mom, they're out there and he's turning like this and showing, and she says, "No, this is how you do it." She gets in the car and she starts squealing around the corners. I mean, today you would call it drifting, but it wasn't like the big drifts like that. But she squealed around, "This is how you do it." And you're going just, oh God, it was fantastic. And she's 95 and I think she takes like one pill. So
Man,
anyway.
yeah. How to age
It's
gracefully.
it's quite the story when every town we go to, there's always a so these things on here. So the red stops are overnight stops, and the other ones are lunch stops, and the blue ones are the lunch stops. Uh, the story gets told every time we cross the finish line, and it becomes a big deal. In fact, in Colorado Springs, it made the front page was the picture of her in the car on the Colorado Springs newspaper on the front page. So anyway,
Nice.
it's a great story, as in all events like this are. It's all car things. Some of these stops in the past, there's been up to 5,000 people that show up
Wow.
for each of these stops. They shut down. It'd be like shutting down all of old Sacramento and lining up the 130 cars that are in the race. So, and you can always follow it at greatrace.com. And we do mid pack, but it's so much fun and it's real America.
What are the ages of the cars?
No car newer than 1974, and there's a car that I love. It's a 1916 Hudson Hill Climber, and they've won it 4 times. And if
Wow.
you win it, you get a check for $50,000. So
Wow.
yeah, we avoid
Serious.
winning it because we don't want to up our tax bracket. Is the only reason we don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
No, they bump you up a class when you win. So anyway, all
Ah, that's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
Didn't
good
know there were
fun.
those kind of financial incentives.
Oh yeah, well it's because there's a lot of sponsors and we pay a decent amount to do it, but it's the whole rolling procession because there's the 130 cars, 2 people per car, but then close to half the cars have support staff. So Brent's brother and his wife are um, are
Hmm.
driving our pickup truck with the enclosed trailer along the race, and they meet us every night at the hotels, and then we drive the car back from there. And there's over 200 people that work on the race too, so it's pretty cool. And the
Nice.
women, there was 2 sisters that won 2 years, 3 years ago, and their story is great because their parents still race. And I say it's a race. It's really a time and distance rally. It's about accuracy and not speed. But these 2 girls won, and they used to sit when they were teenagers, and they'd go to each stop and sell. They were volunteers selling the programs to the event. It's so great.
That's great. That's
All
great.
right, I'm gonna fire up Keynote and share my screen, and we're gonna talk about iCloud. So, since we don't have a lot of people on tonight, and as we go along, feel free to ask any questions. And I will follow this up on the next Saturday class to do more hands on and dig a little deeper. But I want to leave time for questions on this and we'll go into. So, iCloud. Now, it's it's the cloud, it's ethereal. And I always say if it's working, well, it's cloud nine, right? But if iCloud is working correctly, you won't know it. In other words, it's doing what it's supposed to. iCloud will have backups for your iOS devices. It can back up your data on your Mac and your photos and all that. And it's the cloud. So realistically, it's on Apple servers, and the nearest Apple servers are up near Sparks, Nevada, believe it or not, at the Mustang exit. And Mustang Ranch used to be in that area, but they have this huge server farm and they have this incredible, the whole hillside is all solar panels. And that's one of, I think, 5 Apple server locations. They have one in Redmond, Washington, and back. The very first one is in North Carolina. So your data that's on the cloud is very, very secure because it's Apple. And it's also redundant. And so the beauty is, if something were to happen up in the server farm in near Reno, there's 3 or 4 other ones that have all a duplicate of all the data. And so something could happen somewhere and not in the other, and things like that. So it's up there, it's protected, and it's super, super, super safe. Part of the reason they co-locate these in many locations is first for the redundancy, but secondly, the the closest one to you means the data has to travel less distance, so you get it. But we're going to be talking, and for clarification, there's Apple Mail is a program, and there's also Apple Mail that you get from Apple, and that would only be if you have a .mac, .me, or .icloud.com email address. So that's a service versus the Apple Mail program. And so sometimes here in iCloud, it'll say, oh, you want to connect with Apple Mail. Well, if you're using a Gmail account or something else, it's not there. That's only for the Apple Mail component. So, and of course, like Gmail, they have their own cloud is essentially the server where all your mail is stored. Speaking of mail, because I'm on a jihad about this because it's very broken. If you are using Yahoo, SBC Global, AT&T.net, I think, and of course Yahoo, you absolutely you can still use it, but I would be very afraid to use it for anything that's critical. You need to go in and establish either a Gmail address or an Apple iCloud address and use that, because those mails are very, very broken, the Yahoo and all of that. And they're owned by a private equity group. And they're having to spend so much money on tech support that they may abandon it at some point. And then you'll have 30 days to clear everything out and make changes. So I really, really, really think you need to do it. It's so broken that, and I've told this story, I have a client who I spent over 5 hours with tech support and could only partially get their problem resolved. And all we were trying to do, they got a brand new iMac, and we wanted to have them check their SBC Global account, and it just wouldn't work. So that you've been warned. I encourage you, because the big thing is, and don't worry about your Apple account. That's a different thing if it's just the account name. But if your bank is trying to communicate with you and they get hacked the most and everything else. Darian, go ahead with your question.
It's not so much a question, just I had heard that with a listserv I'm associated with, all the SBC Global addresses are being replaced. They're no longer going to function, and they're being offered to switch over to AT&T if they want. So I don't know if that's happening broadly or just for some addresses.
Well, that's a perfect time to get rid of att.net. So, because the problem is, and AT&T may be resolving it, but the first thing is, if you're on Xfinity or anything else, you should not have your email service be tied to your internet provider, because your internet provider is providing that to you, and their customer service can be questionable. But what happens, like, for instance, Starlink is out there now, and you could get Starlink will be cheaper than terrestrial internet. And so once that happens, if you want to change, the thing is that, well, I got my email over there, and there'll be no compunction for them to keep providing you free email. So I think it's a good reason to jump ship. AT&T, that maybe what happening is they're recognizing the problem because AT&T and SBC Global was handled by Yahoo, and Yahoo is first of all bought by Verizon, which there's a bit of a conflict between AT&T and there, and then now it was bought by a private equity group, and private equity groups are in it just for the money, and if they can't make it viable, they're going to get rid of it. I think AT&T probably may have gotten fed up, and they're probably trying to do something on their own, but you know what? I would just say it's a good time to rid yourself of that. Now, what's really bizarre is they don't have to discontinue SBC Global. They could put, if they were smart and on the back end, they could make it transparent and they could take over the email, but not that. So I would, if I had anything important, whether it be finances, family, business stuff, I would totally divest myself. It'll still be there, and except in the SBC case, it's going to go away. But you know, you need to do something that's better. Gmail, yes, there's privacy concerns. If you decide to go with it, it's great. It has the best spam filters, but you can get an iCloud account now. You want to be careful about changing your Apple ID, because if your Apple ID is Bob Smith at yahoo.com or sbcglobal.com, that's just a name identifier. You're not going to go change that. They do make it so you can, but what I recommend is when you get a new email address, you go into that account, your Apple ID account, and you add your new email address. So if you get shut out, you're going to be fine. And again, I just think it's handwriting on the wall. I've been preaching this for 4 years now. And so up here at Sun City, we have great staff that helps with, there's tech support and stuff like that with our Big Apple user group. And we have made it a policy now where we do not support anyone with those addresses because we've given them plenty of time to change. Now, again, it'll still work, but what you do is you want to make it so all your important stuff is going to a different real email address. And that way that just becomes a spam sieve for you where it goes to. So hopefully I made that clear, and I don't want to be doomed, but I just think it's so, so important because think about if all of a sudden your email wasn't working. And I know what I'm doing, and it took me 5 hours under 2 different phone calls, a 3-hour phone call and a 2-hour phone call, and we still couldn't get it resolved fully. Luckily, it didn't break on any of their existing machines. All right. So I'll rant off now, and I can't tell you how important it is. So iCloud, while it will back up your iOS devices, for your calendar and your contacts and things like that, it just syncs. Now, we've always, and I still believe in Time Machine as a backup, but if you're on your Mac and you're using desktop and documents and having that go to the cloud, it's getting backed up on the cloud. I should say it's getting synced on the cloud. Now let's talk about the difference between, actually, I'll probably go to the next slide, might be better. This is kind of how it works. It's really simplistic on this clear whiteboard to see. So if I'm on my phone and someone calls me and I don't know their number and I don't recognize it, but I talk to them. After that phone call, I can see that number and I can say, well, add that to my contacts. So when I say add it to my contacts, my iPhone doesn't sync with my Mac or my desktop or my iPad. What it does is it goes to the cloud, and the cloud then distributes it down to all your devices. So there's not a direct syncing. Everybody always says, well, my phone doesn't sync with my iPad. Well, it doesn't directly, but it does it through the cloud. So the cloud, or in this case, Apple's iCloud, and I know a ton of you are getting emails saying, your cloud is full. It doesn't say iCloud usually. And those are all fake. And those are people. Always just go look at the address on it. I've seen a ton of them in the last 2 weeks from different people. But Apple will tell you, and they make it real easy to upgrade your cloud. And I'll show you where to find that. But anyway, so you create the contact here, then it propagates to all your other devices. But let's say we're on the iPad and now we get an email from that contact. Well, there you could add that email to the contact and it goes out to all your other devices. But when we're talking about contacts, I want to have you think back to an old Rolodex. And if you had a Rolodex, if you were smart, you used pencil because people's phone numbers changed or their addresses changed, or you used whiteout and a pen and ink and things like that. Well, if we think about our contacts, if somebody changes their phone number, you can easily change it and it goes to all devices. But let's say it's wrong. Well, you've erased the old one. So that's why it's not really a backup as such. So you have to be careful. It's syncing. And so the other thing is, and I'm describing this on contacts, if you have a contact and you decide that person they've moved away, I don't need their information, and you delete them. Well, you have to know that it's gone forever. So only ever delete anything if you never ever want to see it again. And the reason I'm telling you that, showing you contacts, is because photos, if you have iCloud photos on, your full-size version of every photo is on the cloud. But what that means is, so the way photos works, let's say you crop somebody out of a photo. Well, the newer version of the photo is up there. But remember, in photos, you can always go back to the original no matter what you do. And so that's important. So that is saved. But let's say you take a picture. Actually, I give the example. You've got the neighbor has a cat. And the cat, you're out in the backyard taking pictures of your roses, and the cat goes by and you get a picture of the cat. Well, and Mary, just so happens your cat just walked past the screen there just a second ago. Good timing, very good timing. And so you take a photo, but it's kind of blurry and you may not like the cat anyway. So at some point you delete the photo. In Time Machine, you can go back in and recover that old photo. But here's what happens. Let's say 6 months goes by. The neighbor comes over and they said, hey, I've lost my cat. Do you still have that picture of my cat to make a lost cat poster? Well, you have a bit of a moral dilemma here for a second. Did you like the cat enough to help them find their cat? Or are you just fine that it's gone? But anyway, if you had Time Machine, you could go back and recover that photo. In your regular photos that is syncing, you only have 30 days because it's in the recently deleted file, okay? So what I say, because you're using iCloud Photos, if you delete it from your iPad, it deletes it on all your other devices. So the only time you should ever delete a photo is when you're never, ever, ever going to want to see it again. Now, I'll point out, as a photographer, there's a lot of photos I took that were out of focus. And with AI, those photos will be able to be recreated. So be careful on that, because there might be some very precious things that you might be able to get back. That being said, again, it's on the cloud and it goes to all your devices. But one of the beauty of having the full size of the photo on the cloud is your device does not have to have the full size on it, whether it be your Mac, your iPad, or your iPhone. If you turn on optimization or syncing, the full size photo will live on the cloud, but a smaller thumbnail size version of the photo will live on your device and will open up tons more space. I have 176 gigabytes of photos on the cloud, and I think I'm around 11 to 15 gigabytes on my phone is all. So yes, you're paying a little extra for cloud storage, which we'll go into in a minute, but you're paying less for storage on your devices because it deprecates it down. The only negative is, and most airlines are getting Starlink now, and it's usually free. But if you're in an area like I was recently in Death Valley, if I went to look at a photo, it wouldn't be very high resolution. It would come up on my phone and look okay, but if I wanted to edit it, I would have to wait till it downloaded just that picture to my phone to work on it. That's the only negative, and it's really rare. So I want to make sure that you realize, just like if you delete a contact, it goes away. If you delete a photo, it goes away. So at this point, this is important. Are there any questions about that process? Okay. Other than that, all these other things go up to the cloud for you. And the beauty is our keychain. So all of our passwords and what are called passkeys now are stored up there, and they're distributed to all of our other devices. Our Apple ID, if you're doing pages, numbers, and Keynote, it's there. You can have your podcast and your shows sync. iOS files, well, we don't worry about those. iCloud Drive, which is where your desktop and documents are stored. So on your Mac, you have a desktop and document folder. And if you choose to put it on the cloud, then you can see that on any of your devices. Your messages can be there, your music, all of that stuff. And the Find My, so the whole deal here is the Find Me, they sync amongst all your devices. So anything you have showing up there. Another really nice thing is your bookmarks and your history in Safari will propagate across your devices. Harmon, go ahead and ask your question.
I don't see video on your spokes.
What kind of video? So we have video that we took with our camera. That would be in photos. Okay. And that does go to the cloud and sync. And other videos, like for Apple TV or movies and those things, they don't necessarily sync. And again, your Apple TV movies, they are at Apple. They don't sit on your cloud, taking up space on your cloud, because videos are huge. So did that answer it for you, Harmon?
No.
Okay, well, ask. I wasn't listening right, so ask.
Well, I have a lot of digitized Super 8. That's now.
You don't want them to sync on the cloud. You would take up so much cloud space. Yeah, I mean, you
So
could.
is that then on the computer so that I can work with it and not be going up to the
Well,
cloud?
it's already on your computer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still on your computer, but what you can do is you think about the desktop and documents folder. So the desktop is a folder and the documents are a folder. If they're in there, it'll go to the cloud and you'll see it on all your devices. If it's not up there, which I recommend it not being there, you put it in a place that does not back it up to the cloud, which is the not in desktop and not in documents folder. Does that make sense?
I guess I don't use documents folder, so.
Okay, well then, but you want to make sure they're not sitting on your desktop or they're going up.
Oh, they're in their own folder.
That will easily fill up your cloud space.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, the beauty of the cloud is, let's say you're working on a document for your homeowners association or something. Well, if you're using pages, numbers, and Keynote, and the document is stored in the iCloud drive, you'll always just have one version of the document, and you'll be working on it, whatever you work on it. It'll constantly update that one. So, Mary, go ahead with your question.
Two things. First one is just a throwaway. Karen told us that on Find My you can now add Apple Pencils, so that's a good thing. I didn't.
I
That's
think it
pretty.
depends on how new it is.
Yeah, if you've got one of the new pencils, you're right. But the second thing is, what do you think about all these external devices that they're? I see them advertised all the time. That I think of them as old thumb drives, but they're saying, "Oh, these are for your photos, and take them off your."
And
Is that what they really are? They're
thumb
just
drive or flash drive, but the problem with those is they're very volatile. They're not likely. I would never trust them as a only place for my files or a backup. So here's the deal. If any file you have that's important, you should have 3, 2, 1. And that's 3 copies of every file. So let's talk about tax documents, since that's coming up. You would have one on your computer in your internal drive. And if it's in desktop or documents, it's backed up to the cloud.
That's two.
That's 2, I know. So, the 3, 2, 1 is 3 copies of every file on 2 different types of media. In other words, like putting 2 copies on the same hard drive wouldn't be good. It'll be 2 copies, but if that hard drive goes, you lose both. So a time machine backup would be a good second location, and having it on the cloud is a third. And the 3, 2, 1, the 1 means offsite. And I used to tell people when they had time machine backups before we had the cloud that you want to have a second hard drive more than 10 blocks from your house. Because in Sacramento, if it floods, if it affects more than 10 blocks, you're probably not going to care about the data because Armageddon just happened. So that was the idea with that. But now the cloud has redundancy too, but remember, to the cloud is syncing. And that's why I still believe in using Time Machine on a computer. Our iOS devices, they get backed up to the cloud, and there are some versioning on that where you can go back. But yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty good where you and you can have external hard drives. You can store stuff on that. And by the way, for Time Machine and for long-term storage, spinning drives are better than solid-state drives. Solid-state drives are more dependable mechanically, but if you're storing them somewhere where you don't occasionally plug them in where they aren't getting power, there is some very rare times when they don't work anymore. So, and you don't need that speed for a backup. So think about the files and what you do. In Harmon's case, he spent a lot of time converting those. If that was mine, I would have another hard drive that I would put those files on. So I had at least 2 of them because he probably still has the original of the the Super 8 or whatever it is. But again, you could do it with another drive and then keep one of those off site. So did that answer it for you okay, Mary?
Yeah, I just see them all the time and kind of wonder, oh, should I be doing that or not? You know, for
Yeah.
$30, do you just get one of those little devices and
Yeah, the thumb drives are good for transferring files and doing things, but they really are they're prone to, you have a magnet on a wallet or something that can I just they're not they're not dependable.
I think that's just a marketing thing now because
No, they're
well,
trying to
instead of
sell them.
saying, yeah, but instead of saying, oh, this is, a thumb drive, they're saying, oh, this is a backup for your photos. And it's like,
Yeah.
well,
It's a photo vault.
yeah, that's what those kinds of things. So, anyway.
All righty. So let's see here. All right. So now we're digging into the cloud, and a couple of these slides are kind of a bit redundant over what we just talked about. But basically, Apple offers you 5 GB of iCloud storage space for free. And I call this the drug pusher approach. Try it, you'll like it. So they suck you in with 5 free gigabytes with every Apple ID account. And they find compelling ways for you to use up that cloud space. But that being said, Apple's cloud space is very reasonably priced. Now, I hate subscriptions more than anyone, but I just it's convenient and it's very effective. So we're going to go in deeper about settings in a minute, so we can skip that slide. Uh, your cloud should have two-factor authentication because that's secure. And the other thing is, if you're not on your own computer, you can, even on a PC, you can go to iCloud.com and look in and see what it is. Remember, I was on a ship that had 12 cabins destroyed from a rogue wave. And while I had my devices, people in the cabins next to me, they got out with one bathrobe. So they had to log into different things, their calendar, their email, and all that. And they had to use a public computer to do that. So that's one reason why you should make sure that you know your Apple ID password very much, and you can log into anything. Don't worry about the privately relay, and the hide my email is just a nice option. If you're at a site and you don't want to get spam from them, if you're using Apple Mail, the iCloud.com, you have the option of saying hide my mail. And what it'll do is it'll hide the address and create an alias for you so you can track that. The other big thing with the cloud, Apple is getting more and more home devices, whether it's security cameras especially. They're not from Apple, but they're certified to be Apple Home or what's called Matter, Matter. And unlike the Wise cameras or things like that, the cheap cameras, where your video is stored on a server somewhere, and many of them in China, Apple, if it's a HomeKit one and you set it up, it is actually stored on your iCloud storage space. So it's super secure, and they make sure that there's good pathways for that to be protected. Okay. And of course, it's another way to fill up your iCloud storage space. But usually with home security cameras, you can manage how much you want to have backed up for how long and things like that. So look for it to be HomeKit, Home or HomeKit compatible or Matter. it is bulletproof safe. I mean, I'll tell you, it is Apple. It's Apple. You can share with links. You can share some of the files if you want with other people. Now, I'm going to get into here in a little bit about family sharing. Now, you can, if you, if so, up to 5 people can share the storage space, but that doesn't mean you're sharing data or photos or anything. Everyone has their own little, so let's say you get 2 terabytes. If you have 5 people, everybody would be getting, what would that be? 500 gigabytes or 800, whatever. My math. I'm really tired tonight. Sorry. But anyway, that your photos go up there, your messages go there, your contacts, but they don't cross pollinate with anybody you share with. And the sharing doesn't have to be someone in your family. You can choose how you share it. Okay. I have a good friend of mine who finally came over to the Apple iPhone, and rather than burden her with that, I have her tagged in onto my sharing account so that she doesn't have to worry about storing her stuff in her space, but it's 100% private. I can't get into hers, even though I own the account, the main account. I can't get into hers, and she can't get into mine. It is completely separate. So, oh, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, does that mean like the 5 people that you can also share, like if you get Apple One that or whatever it's called, that
You'll
you can
see that
share?
you'll see that in a couple slides here, and
Okay,
it'll hopefully
okay,
make it a little clearer. And yes is the answer, and it's a compelling reason to do it.
yep, I'm thinking.
So, uh, there's ways to get your storage out of there. This isn't really, you're not going to really worry about maintenance on it at all. Now, the only thing is, a lot of times it'll clog up with photos and stuff. It's not your photos, it's usually videos that take up the space. So if you're needing to clear out space, you do that. So here's how to do it. We're going to walk through this. I have some slides to show you how to get all these default settings. So what happens is in calendars and contacts and sometimes in notes and sometimes in reminders, your phone may be set up where you're putting new contacts in on one account, like a Gmail, and the other one's and your iPad's using the iCloud. But more particularly in calendar, you're entering it in a different one than the other devices. So sometimes appointments won't show up. And we'll discuss that in a slide coming up. So here is the individual pricing. So you get the 5 gigabytes for free. It's 99 cents a month for 50 gigabytes, so 10 times the space. Then here, it's 200 gigabytes. And forget this part about the 2 terabyte. This is the family plan, which I'll show you in a second. But 200 gigabytes is $299 a month. And they go up higher than this now, but 2 terabytes is $10 a month. And 2 terabytes is a lot. So if we go to the next slide, how this works out is they now have a program called Apple One. And Apple One is taking not just the iCloud Plus, they're adding other features to it. So let's break this out and I'll tell you what happened for me. So the individual account, iCloud alone is 99 cents a month, okay, for 50 gigabytes. So if you get Apple TV Plus, which that's the subscription, that's not the device. So now you're at what is it? 1099, 1098. And then if you have Apple Music, you're going there. And so if you buy them individually, it's $28.96. If you buy it in the package, it's $19.95. So you're essentially getting one of these 10 things for free. I know a lot of you, like me, probably don't care about arcade. So that wasn't a huge difference for me. I was buying everything a la carte, but I was using 2 terabytes. So I was up here at $9.99 a month. So here's a family plan. This you can share with up to 5 people, and they don't have to know what you're paying. You could overcharge them if you want, but it's a way to break it out. And remember, you're the one doing the billing, and they'll have to pay you. It's not like you get multiple billings. But then you can get up to the 200 gigabyte. Two of you can share the Apple TV account. So you're legally sharing it, just like how Netflix is cracking down on some of the others. The same thing. The Apple Music went from $10.99 to now $16.99 if you're packaging these up individually. And then the arcade is $6.99. So that whole thing, if you paid for it not in the package, it's $36.95. But if you do it in the package, it's $25.95. So realistically, between the Apple TV and the storage space, you're breaking even and you're essentially getting the music subscription for 2 people for free. Now, you can put even more than that amount of people onto it, and it just means that everybody would get 40 gigabytes and it really you don't allocate how much it is. That's the total space. And if you're the one running it and you need 180 of these gigabytes, then they only get a little bit less on there. So this makes sense if you decide to share it with people. And again, I was leery. I know people are leery. They're treated just like separate accounts, and there's no way anybody can get in to the other person's stuff and it doesn't commingle. Your photos are not going to show up on theirs, and theirs aren't going to show up on yours. I hope I made that very clear. For me, since I was already getting 2 terabytes and I had Apple TV and music, I was paying $36.95 a month for just these. And what happened is, for $1 more, I now get the 2 terabytes. I get arcade, which I don't care about. The fitness I'm starting to use. So that's a little benefit. That was worth the $1 extra for me. And then I don't really care about Apple News, but it's pretty good. So it adds up to, and again, and I have shared. So what I did is I shared the cloud and Apple TV Plus and the music, and she can use the fitness and the news if she wants also. So it's all included. So for 2 people, it works out really well. And again, it's not per household. She has her own email address, she has her own password, everything else. So,
But it says 5 people there. Why are you saying 2 people?
because I only have one friend.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but okay.
Well,
Up to
but
6
actually, with
people.
this though, you might attract friends.
Or
So you go into the bar and say, "Hey, you need an Apple TV account?"
Yeah.
You open up the coat instead of selling watches. So no, but I'm just saying that it, even with just 2 people,
That's your point.
it
I get it.
becomes
Okay.
much more effective than an individual. So it's a great thing, and that's called Apple One. And Al, did you get yours squared away where you have 4 terabytes now?
Yeah. Paying the money, baby. Paying the money.
Well, no, but it should have only been
Hey,
you're
it's a good value for me, and
you're
I didn't
paying
know.
$10 more or $20 more. No, $10 more than this,
Yeah.
and you're getting 4 terabytes now.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
And it's having it there, and I'm like you. I don't have too many friends, but I have a wife and I have a mother, and I shared that out with them, and it works.
well,
Works out good.
and especially too because you're their tech support, and
Yeah,
that way
it
it's
makes things a lot
painless
easier,
because yeah.
and
But
it's pretty
one
good.
thing you will be able to monitor is you'll be able to see how much
Oh
is
yeah,
being used,
yeah,
but that's it.
Yeah, I'm the big user hog,
I know, me too.
but I tell you, here's an ancillary thing here. My mom lives nearby and stuff, and I've got her set up with an Apple TV, and she has ability to. I've given her permission to look at my photos and stuff, and so
Right. You
if
can
she
share
was
your life, and they don't have to be in your account to
no
have that. You
no
can do
they
that with
just they just
anybody,
they
but
can
it's
see
great.
into the photos I take, so it acts as a daily time capsule of what I'm doing that day, and so she tells me her and the gentleman she lives with they let's see what Elle's doing today. And so they'll
Oh,
go
isn't
see
that
what
great?
pictures I've taken, where I've gone since I'm taking photographs every day, or I'm working on, presentations or this or that, or
Yeah.
oddball things that I find of interest and stuff. So it's a great time capsule. And when you start to use this over a long length of time, uh, just being able to store your stuff safely and the way the Photos app can bring back these memories on the fly with all these uh, uh, arbitrary
I
groups.
wish the journaling app could be shared.
Yeah,
So, do you know about polar steps?
I do not. I think I've heard
That's the one
generally.
I use. I'll look into that. It's not just for travel, but it polar steps is phenomenal. If we have time at the end, remind me, you
Okay,
guys. I'll
okay,
talk about it.
okay. The
Uh,
the thing I like about the Apple Photos is its ability to arbitrarily make these collections based on metadata like location or places that I've gone or events that I'm at, and it'll arbitrarily put the stuff together. Here's a memory from 5 years ago, or whatever. And when you have a long history of this usage, and you have
uh,
this great archive, it's a great time capsule for your life.
and
And
it does a great job of finding it. It gets the feel, or as the new word, vibe of what was going on at that time.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Great.
I can't say enough about it, and
No,
I'll gladly pay the
and
money.
that's why that's the part on Apple that works and works well, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Harmon, go for it, and then Joe, you'll be after that.
Okay.
Well, first I have to argue with Al. Apple
What?
creates these packages of memories, and they were force feeding me packages of my best friend who killed himself.
Oh
That's
my.
not a memory I wanted
Yeah,
Apple to be pushing at me.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
so, I that's one pick against AI.
yeah.
Uh, my comment was that Andrew McCarthy, the 1980s Brat Pack actor, has written
Photographer.
it and is touring right now, selling his book titled "Who Needs Friends?" So, for people like Ken who only have one, this book might be appropriate.
There's a little self-assurance there, so I'll have to get that, but I won't share it with anybody. Hey, thank
Uh,
you, Harmon.
but
Oh,
you're
And
sorry about
right.
your friend.
Yeah, and
Joe, go
Harmon,
ahead.
You said you could get rid of videos from the iCloud. Seems like I have a lot of videos up there. If I get rid of them there, do I get rid of them off my computer?
Okay, we'll go over this. If you delete something on one device, if you're set up and it's using iCloud Photos, you delete it on all devices. That is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, if you move it to a different folder and don't have it in Photos, like we talked about some of the digital clips that Harmon had of the 8 millimeter or whatever it was, that would take it out of there. But if it's in documents and desktops or in photos, it syncs with everything. So if you delete it from one, you delete it from everyone.
So you're telling me I would have to move it from photos over to files or something like that.
If you don't want it up on the cloud. But the thing is, on your devices, it's going to make it much smaller, but the full version of it will still be on the cloud.
Okay. The other one was on Zoom. I have a question for Zoom. I said I didn't want my picture to show, but now I'm not showing up at all in the gallery.
Well, that's because you didn't want your picture to show. So
Okay, how do I get it?
you turned your video off.
And now how do I turn it on?
It's
Lower
down
left-hand corner.
down to the left hand where the microphone is on the far left, the video camera next to it.
Just
You
click
may
on
have,
it.
Yep, there it went a second. You were there for a second. There you go.
Okay, very good.
You bet. Welcome back.
Yeah.
By the
Mary,
way,
go for it.
I'm going to say something that probably most people are going to say. Every time we have a new version, when I sit down with breakfast with my friends, the first thing everyone says is, what the hell did they do to photos, to messages, to this? Where is this? How come they changed that?
Well, they call it progress. I think it's the
Yeah.
Make Work project. But the most recent OS's 26 were significant changes, and most of them not for the better.
Well, it would seem that they'd have some kind of a outside group look at some of these changes before they put them up, because everyone complains about, hey, I used to do this and now I can't do it. I've spent 2 hours trying to figure out how I did something yesterday.
You get no disagreement from
Yeah.
me.
Totally sympathetic. You
Yeah.
know, the
And
folks.
and what makes me feel better is if I take bamboo shoots and stick them under my fingernails, then I don't feel the other pain as bad.
The last thing is, how come Murphy has 2 pictures up?
Well, he's probably on 2 devices, but
Oh, okay.
for the drawing, he only gets 1 to count.
I
He's
figured I got his number. I have
Yeah.
your number, Charles.
Go ahead, Mary. You had a question.
Yeah, and thank you, Harmon. I have the same situation. I have some photos that come up of memories that I really don't need. I want to keep the photos, but I don't really want to be reminded of some of this crap.
My
What can I do?
recommendation, since you want to keep them,
Yeah,
but you probably don't want to see them,
right.
there's the ability to go in and hide those photos.
Oh, okay.
And so they won't show up in a rotation. And if you hide them, if I'm not mistaken, you have to use your biometric, either your fingerprint or your password, to then bring them out to be seen again. Because the idea would be hiding them for privacy concerns, but in this case, just so they don't show up in other stuff. So
Yeah,
you
that's
could select a bunch of photos, or if you went and hunted for that person by name, you'd get all the photos they have, highlight them, say select all, and then go up and there's a key to hide, or right click to hide. Don't
Thank you,
delete. Don't
Tim, and
delete.
thank you, Harmon. And
Hide.
thank you, Harmon. Yeah.
I thought there was a way in the settings to turn off memories.
Well, there is, but that turns them off completely. But I don't think there's a way to tweak it.
Okay.
I
I
don't.
turned them off completely.
Yeah, well-
If it's a painful photo, you like's been said earlier, you can take it off the Photos app and store them locally.
No, I would just hide them in photos, because when you're gonna want to access us to get them, they'll be there. I would do it that way, because the other way is prone to, then you don't have extra backups and all that. I wouldn't do that. I mean, obviously you could delete them if you want, but if they're hidden, you don't see them. Like, for instance, I had speaking of Randy with his little Moe's or whatever it is there, I had a thing on my back that I couldn't see it. I couldn't even do it in the thing, but I had a neighbor who's a nurse change my dressing for me, but I took pictures each day of the progress of the healing. And so I don't need those on my regular feed. So I just hid them, and they're fine, and I don't need them anymore, so I can delete them. But the hide thing works really well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Barbara, welcome. Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I had to unmute.
Okay.
I kind of remembered, and I just Googled this, feature less of this person. And it's under Apple support. It says in photos on your iPhones, turn off memories and featured photos, or choose to feature certain people less often or not at all.
Yeah, and
So that's something
so
else
was
I
that
think you
on a
can
web
do.
page you found?
No, I just Googled feature less of this person because
Yeah.
kind of remembered
I
hearing
remember
about
something
that
like that
somewhere.
too. So
And
that
so I
would be
just Googled feature less of this person and it came up under Apple support.
and Al is of course already getting it, I can tell, and he'll post it. So, and AI is wonderful for stuff like that. And again, once we get AI really cranking here, within the next year, you'll just say, I want to see less of that person. Well, and actually, it might even, if it was not in that situation, if it was less of another person, it'd tell you, oh, they're in this area, don't go there or something. But anyway, good find on that. So, I think, so I'm going to go through settings really quick. And you know what? Time wise, we're a little bit jammed for time. So I will go through this in more detail in the Saturday class, not this coming Saturday, after that. But I'm going to go through just some. There's two places. There's three places. There's critical settings. So this is obviously being recorded, so you can come through and look at this afterwards. But I want to bomb through these super quick. So first, I'm showing you on the iOS device. You go to the gray gear and you click on your name, and it might just have your initials there. And when you click that, you see iCloud, and it shows me I'm on the 2 terabyte plan. When I click iCloud, the most important thing is on your iOS device, on your phone and your iPad, it should say cloud backup, and it should say how recently you backed up. And that being said, when you click here, you'll have the option. First of all, you should probably not have backup over cellular because you've done it. If yours isn't backing up, it'll say when it backed up last time. And the way the backup works, your phone has to have three things happen to back up. It has to be plugged into power so it doesn't inadvertently drain your battery. It has to be on Wi-Fi, especially when you have cellular off. And that Wi-Fi could be if you're connected to a hotel when you're traveling, if you're connected to their Wi-Fi, it will back up there. And then when your phone screen goes dark or essentially asleep, not off, but asleep, those three criteria will allow it to back up. And your phone will probably back up in the middle of the night. Okay? So that's really important. And if we go back really quick on the previous slide, again, you go to settings. Everybody can do this on their phone. Settings, click on your name, scroll down a bit, click on iCloud, and check for iCloud backup. It'll say on or when it last backed up, and then you can go here for that. Now, in this same screen, if you've gotten that far, I want you to go to the upper left up there and hit where it says iCloud, the blue dot line on the thing, and you should get a screen like this that says your Apple account. You may have to go, no, you'll be back one screen and you're going to get this information. And in this information, you're going to click See All. And when you click See All, you're going to see here. And what we want to see is iCloud Photos needs to be on if you're syncing your library, which you should. iCloud Drive needs to be on because that's documents and desktop. Many of you will not have iCloud Mail. Don't turn it on unless you have a .mac, .me, or iCloud account. This has nothing to do with all the rest of your mail. Your passwords and keychains should be on. And again, these apply for the iPhone and the iPad I'm showing you here. Passwords and keychain, notes, messages on cloud is your own choice. If you want them stored on the cloud, they'll sync between all of them, but that I don't do it because I don't want all that video and stuff up there. You want your health app to do, but the two most important ones are your iCloud calendar and your contacts. Okay? Once we've done that, there's other apps here. I like to have Safari Sync, so that way all my bookmarks are syncing with each other, or if I was recently on another page on them. Your home devices, your fitness, good to have your wallet, pretty much everything here. And then for the apps, you want Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, because then if you're working on documents, it syncs between all of them. I sync my clock because I put world clock up on there and stuff. I definitely want my calendar synced, and your calendar will be right over, it should be over on this side, but anyway. Don't worry about Compass. The Find Me you can sync. The rest of it you don't have to necessarily worry about it. But calendars and contacts. So if I go into settings again, all the way back into the beginning of settings, and you click on apps, I go to calendar. And when I click on calendar, if you come down here, if it doesn't say default calendar, it means you only have one account, which is fine. But if you have multiple accounts, you need to set it so that the phone is usually the one, mine just happens to be on work, and it's the iCloud calendar like this. But this is the default calendar, and what the default calendar means is if you don't, it's the one that it will automatically go to when you make a new appointment, a new event. And you want, if it says work here, you want it to say work on your iPad and in the calendar app on your Mac. So that's important for syncing. And then in contacts, the same thing applies. And in contacts, if you don't have anything that says default account, it means you only have the iCloud account, and that's okay. But otherwise, you need to select it and choose which one you want. Default means if you don't select anything, that's the one it goes to. Real quickly on the Mac, or even this is how it looks on the iPad. You go into system settings on the Mac, and you go into iCloud. You're on the first one, your account. Then you go to iCloud. Then you go over here, you see the save to iCloud. Since you're on a Mac, you won't see iCloud backup. Remember, only on iOS. So when I click that, here's what's saved to iCloud. Everything's on. Oh, I find my Mac should be. I'll turn the, I think I've since turned that on. Your calendars, contacts, all of the good things you want there, you want to have on. But then what happens is for the calendar app on a Mac, you fire up calendars, you go up to calendar settings, and then you click on general, and here's where you select your default calendar. And the default calendar should be the same thing it is on your iOS device. And then we do the same thing for contacts. You go up to contacts. Again, on the iOS devices, everything is done in system settings. On the Mac, it's done in the app itself. And you go here, you click on general, and if you have a choice, default needs to be your iCloud. If you don't have anything that says default account, well, you probably will. Don't ever select on my Mac, because that means it's just on that account. And that is it.
Woohoo.
So what we'll do is we'll do the drawing. Well, actually, are there any questions right now? We can probably take 2 or 3 quick questions. Raise your hand or open up your mic if you want. And Mary, what's our number?
25. And Darian has a question. It looks
okay, 25.
That Charles, he was trying to get 2 in.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. He's crafty that way. Darian, go ahead with your question.
So I'm a little confused about the iCloud Drive versus iCloud. Can you elaborate a little on that?
So iCloud is the whole thing, okay? And what iCloud Drive is the iCloud Drive is where your desktop and documents are stored. Think of iCloud Drive has it's the big thing, and on your iOS device, it'll look like this, and it'll say Files. It won't say Finder. You have a little folder on your iPhone and your iPad, and that says Files. And when you open Files, it gets you in here to the iCloud Drive, and within there might be some random files in there. But secondly, your document and desktop folder will be inside there. So when they say iCloud Drive, it means it's the hard drive or the storage inside of iCloud. iCloud's the big overall. And again, it's called Files, just the word Files on iOS. And it looks just like this blue folder. Did that answer it for you, Darian?
Well, I'm afraid not, but I'll watch.
Are you going to be in the class in Saturday, a week and a half from now?
I doubt it, but I might make an effort to be there, and I'll watch the recording over.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to hang around, I'll try go into more detail after the drawing. How's that?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're going to see if I can get Siri to work here. I will stop my share because we want the rogues gallery, and I'll turn off my
Can you share that last slide? Send it out.
hang on.
No, I said, could you mail it, that one slide out to me? I'd love to have it.
Yeah, that's a great slide.
Yeah.
The MacMost slide.
No,
Okay,
no, this one. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's made by MacMost.
yeah, and
Oh, well, I'll get it from, never mind, I'll
well,
get it from,
I just did a Google search of it, so let's see
I know
if
where it is.
if we'll put
I'll
it
get
in
it.
the chat. We'll see if it shows up in the chat. But yeah, and since they do such a good job there, I just left his logo on it.
Do a screenshot.
Yeah, I pasted it in the other. So what I can do is I'll email. Actually, I'll let me drop it in, and you can then get it. I'll put it in text to you.
Whoever said that, believe it or not, I'm using my newest iPad mini and I haven't figured out how to do a screenshot on it so
Oh,
far.
it was rich, and it was a good call. But what I got to do is get other stuff out of the way. So I will go options, clipboard, and capture selected window. Bingo. I'll text it to Al and Bob.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Let me move this out of the way. And
By the way, Ken, I sent you a chat message. I did not know if it was something you would want to share or not.
you sent by text or chat?
In chat.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I missed it. Yeah, hang on.
I don't know if that's of general
Oh,
interest or not.
well, Bob, so Bob's doing a little bit of medical tune-up right now, and I don't think they're changing anything, which is good. But his note is the newest bed at Sutter have a charging port in the side rail. It's USB-A, so one needs to bring an A to C cord and a watch charger. Fairly good. Took phone from 30% to 100% an hour. That's great.
That's great.
Well, Bob,
That
like
is.
me, if you're going to the hospital, don't forget to fill up your Scotty vest. So every time I've gone to the hospital or the ER, I have my iPhone, my iPad. I make sure I have a bunch of cables and I have and make sure you got some long cables too, and a charging brick. And sometimes I'll even put my laptop in there. So
Well,
yeah, you got to have your
use
devices.
I use the man's purse, right?
There you
Yep.
go.
I have an extra that I used to carry to the hospital that had strictly cables and the brick and all that kind of stuff. Now it's just that one wire.
So, other people have go bags for like, when there's weather emergencies and everything. We have our Apple bags. And I've always said MacNexus is our 12-step program for Mac people. All right, let me see if I can get this working. I'm going to try real quick. This is just a test. Give me a random number between 0 and 25. So it didn't announce it. That sucks. All right, we are ready. So we're doing 4 25s and 1 100. There's 25 people in attendance. And I wonder if I'll share my screen so there's no hanky-panky going on here.
We'll only wonder if your number comes
Well, I know,
up.
and I was thinking about that because I really haven't won this one very often. And so, can you see my corner up in here with Siri? Okay.
Yes.
Give me a random number between 1 and 25. And it's funny because my little test I did a minute ago was 0 to 25, and at 9 was what came up. So anyway, Mary, who's 9?
Who is 9? Dennis Irwin.
Dennis, congratulations. You're proud winner of a $25 Amazon gift card. So we got 3 more to do. Give me a random number between 1 and 25. It's 8. Not so random, Siri.
David McVeigh.
All right, from Dennis to David. Give me a random number between 1 and 25. And 7. Okay, 21.
21. That is Peter Belly. Did I say
Peter
that right,
Belli,
Peter?
congratulations.
Belli. I'm sorry.
Peter, that's fine. I think it's Belli. I don't know.
No, it's
All right.
Belly.
Last $25 one. Give me a random number between 1 and 25. 6.
Charles Murphy. He managed to get one. Look at that.
Congratulations, Charles.
Took him 2 windows to do.
Yeah, well, he only got one that counted, only 6 counted.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go to the $100 gift card now. Give me a random number between 1 and 25. 6. So, Charles, you have to give one of yours back. So now you have a $100 gift card. I assume you want to give back the 25. So we're redoing the 25, and it better not come up 6.
Yeah.
Give me a random number between 1 and 25. 25.
Thomas Spencer. Boy, he's been winning a lot lately.
Thomas Spencer, number 25 for the $25
Twice
gift card.
recently.
Congratulations. And don't forget, it was Charles got the 100 then.
Right.
All right, everyone, good job. And then I'm happy to answer that question in a little more detail if needed about files.
Right.
iCloud and iCloud.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think I understand it now. Anything in documents and anything on the desktop?
As long as you have it on in iCloud, and let me show you on the computer what that means. So if I go to system settings on my Mac, it'll fire up maybe. Oh, I'm on full screen. Let me get out of full screen on Keynote. And where are my system settings? Great. Huh. I don't have any. Oh gosh, it's hidden behind my Zoom windows on the other screen. There we go. So if I go to my name on the Mac, I'll zoom. I'll scroll in a little bit.
We're still seeing you.
No,
Oh,
we're
you're
not.
not.
We're seeing the sheet,
Oh,
Bob.
hold on. I got. Yeah,
I mean,
Are you
okay.
guys
his
seeing
screen.
this? Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I click on my name and I go to iCloud, I go to iCloud Drive. And when I click on iCloud Drive, documents and desktop have to be on.
Ah,
And that means that what'll happen is in your Finder, let me scroll back out. If we go to Finder, over here, your documents and desktop will now reside on the cloud. Well, that's weird. I've moved them up there. They're a favorite. They're here under iCloud Drive. There's my documents, and my desktop should be somewhere. Let's sort by name. There it is. Documents and desktop.
got it.
So those are on the cloud, and then on your iOS device, you just go to Files, and they'll be there. And you should, let's see, let me look really quick on the phone to make sure. Settings.
Oh,
What? Go ahead.
I've got the iCloud Drive is and sync with Mac is toggled on, but the desktop and documents folder isn't. But my documents and stuff when I on the desktop show that they're on the cloud.
Well, no, well, yeah, you may have to check your other devices and go to Files and make sure everything's there.
Well, they may not. Okay, I don't. Okay, so
So
that's what it's doing.
it's the same thing on your iOS device. The screen's the same thing. You go to Cloud, you go to Drive, and then it will say there's a thing that says apps syncing. Now that's weird.
Yeah, because I don't care if those are synced.
Well, it should be, I guess it's automatic on the phone when you do it because I'm just going to go to my files program and see your files folder. Yeah, my desktop folder is in files. So on iOS, you don't have this choice here, but on the Mac you do.
And it
And when they
looks
say
like
optimize Mac storage, what that does is it takes it, I'll zoom in, optimize Mac storage. That's just like the photos. It'll reduce the file size for you if it needs room. And secondly, that way you can always bring it down from the cloud if you want. So hopefully that answered. This looks very similar on iOS, and you just click on Drive, but the window will look a little different.
So if you don't click on the desktop and documents folder, the stuff is still backed up to the drive, just not onto your other.
No, because it's not on the cloud. So if they're on your Mac but not on the cloud, they're only backed up to Time Machine.
It
But
says
so like in mine, you
iCloud
see I have
Drive.
these this little cloud thing here.
Yeah.
So they're not, you want to make sure that when you click on the Finder, if you click on iCloud Drive, you want to make sure your documents and desktop are here.
They say they are. It's just
And
weird.
if you look, see, they've been updated recently.
Yeah,
Well,
no, that shows that they are there. It's just that the desktop and documents
we'll
folder
find
is
out
not.
if they're recent, if you've got recent activity. Like, see, there, mine was modified yesterday, my documents.
Oh, okay.
So I know it's active. But what I'm concerned is you didn't show that in settings that you were it didn't show that you were they were on, right?
Right, but I don't care
So
if they don't go to my iOS devices, the
well, but
files.
you want them backed up on the cloud.
They say it shows that they're all backed up. Under locations, it says iCloud. So
Okay, so if you look at my screen,
let me see.
do they show up under iCloud Drive
Yep. Yep.
Okay, then they are, well, again,
Mary,
click on documents and see when it shows it was updated.
Mary,
Yes.
on your phone or your iPad, you click on files to get
Right.
get to the iCloud file.
I know, but I don't care about having them there, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Plus another
So-
thing is pages and numbers and so forth automatically store in iCloud unless
Yeah.
you change the destination the
Well,
first
anyway,
time you save them.
it works for me.